Chapter 8. We tried to be kids.
Mysteries of the Soul. 1. Believe in God like a child. 2. Believe that God is more powerful than your problems. 3. Pray for strength to live God's will. 4. Live your life honestly and morally. 5. Share your wrongdoings with a close friend. 6. Right the wrongs you've done to others. 7. Find someone to help in all situations. 8. Experience God's healing, knowledge, and purpose.
Even though my home life had fallen apart, there were things outside that kept me going. After the awful summer came September, which meant the start of school and the football season. Since I officially was in 7th grade, I hoped to make the varsity starting lineup because when we played on the street, I rarely dropped the ball and even caught some touchdown passes. The only problem I had with September was school. It would be nice if we could play football without having to go to class. There was always a hook, some threat attached to anything you liked. If you didn't do well in school, the parents and teachers wouldn't let you play. Poor Miss Hope would be my 7th grade teacher. I also had her in 4th grade, so I knew her well. She was short, thin, and had long, crinkled white hair. She hadn't married and didn't have kids. The first time I saw poor Miss Hope, she was standing in the hallway when I was in kindergarten, and my first thought was that she could be Santa Claus's wife and was about 100 years old. Bush said she was old enough to have taught the caveman's children, which I said,
She can't be that old.
my desk was in the 3rd row, first seat, and right in front of her big brown teacher's desk. There were 2 reasons for this. The first was to keep an eye on me, and the second was that she liked me. I loved the attention she gave me, and I'd get excited, and then the class would laugh and get out of control. She would get flustered, and her wrinkled little hands would start shaking. Some days I'd just be quiet because I was tired or bored, and she'd ask,
Are you okay today?
Thomas J. Babushio was my best friend. Thomas came from a long line of relatives who were nicknamed Bush. His father was a Bush, his uncles were called Bush, his brothers were called Bush, and his cousins were called Bush. Every male was called Bush, and the reason for this was because right in the middle of their Italian last name was 4 letters spelled Bush. All the Bush cousins had a mother called Connie, too. One time, Connie called Bush from the kitchen, and when she did, everyone stopped talking to recognize which Connie was calling which Bush. After the pause, Bush's dad said, Bush, go see what your mom wants, and bring me a cannoli on the way back. Well, Bush had a different point of view on football because he was in 8th grade. School has girls, Jimmy, and that's not such a bad trade-off. Now go out for a pass. I ran deep down the street, just short of a blue Chevy, turned and stopped on a dime, and Bush threw a perfect pass that looped into my gut.
Touchdown!
I yelled, and trotted back toward Bush, and when I got closer, I heard the cheerleaders practicing over in the parking lot. Bush heard them too. Come on, he yelled, and we ran closer to listen better, and I trotted after him reluctantly. When we got there, the girls were practicing their cheers.
2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? St. Albee! St. Albee!
The girls jumped up and down, then went into a huddle and stepped out into a new formation. I like this one, Bush whispered.
Why?
I asked. Because you find out which girl likes you. I didn't catch on and began to ask another question. Listen, he said sharply. The 8th grade girls started screaming,
Bush! Bush! He's our man! If he can't do it, no one can!
They repeated the chant twice, and one girl jumped out in front and did a solo the 3rd time. Bush explained that whoever did the solo had picked the boy's name because she liked him. I rolled my eyes.
Jeez, let's go play some catch.
But Bush wanted to find out who liked him. It turned out to be Linda Henry. Next, the cheerleaders started on the 7th grade players, which meant me. Bush nudged me, laughing. I said,
Oh, brother.
but I was interested to find out who'd picked my name. Bobby Seward was the one who finally jumped out of the formation to chant,
Jimmy, Jimmy, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
I turned around because I couldn't bear to watch.
Come on.
I said, tugging on Bush's arm. He didn't budge, so I had to stand there, embarrassed, waiting for all the cheers to end. Bobby Seward stood in the right corner of the lot, surrounded by all her girlfriends, and she was laughing and staring at me. I could have died.
Can we go now?
I pleaded. Okay, Bush said. Go deep for a pass. I ran straight, looped to the right, turned, and saw Bush cock his arm and throw. The ball sailed high and a little too far to the right. I picked up speed, stretched, and caught the ball on my fingertips, pulling it close to my stomach.
Yes!
I whispered to myself. A cheer went up from the girls as I continued to run around the corner of the building that separated me from them, and I ran up the street, breaking tackles and scoring an imaginary touchdown. I saw Bush running behind me, and as he approached, I heard him sing-song. Jimmy, Jimmy, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, come on, Jimmy. You've got to admit, it's fun. I denied it, but I couldn't help remembering how Bobby looked at me as she stood giggling with her friends, and I wanted her to be my girlfriend.